Okay, so I've actually been feeling a little bit nervous that I've been coming off as a little bit too dismissive of what I think about the differences from the book to the show. And it's really just because I've been like bombarded with so many people saying she shaved her legs for Conrad. And I think it just like took me to a place of feeling like the overarching theme of this show being called The Summer I Turned Pretty is telling this story of this woman coming of age and grappling with the idea that things on the surface are not always what they seem. And that is what we see of Conrad season 1. He's wearing this mask, but underneath there's so much valid pain and fear and this terror from his realization that he's going to need to grow up fast and he's going to lose everything. And I think in season 3, we're really being shown very visually and with her lack of narration that Belly too is wearing a mask. And we've been given so many of those moments to recognize when Belly does and doesn't feel like herself throughout this show. And that's maybe not something that you can necessarily tell from her narration in the books when she's not really herself, especially when it comes to outward appearances. For me, it's like in season 1, when she's at the tea party for the Deb ball, you can really see how out of place she feels. And that outfit that she chooses doesn't look and feel like Belly at all on the outside. And she would tell you that she chose this and that she wanted this for herself. But really, we know by the end of season 1, she admits that she just wanted to make Susanna happy. And this is a constant theme throughout seasons 1 and 2 and 3 when we see with her outfit choices and like how she visually chooses to appear. Another great example for me is wearing that dress that Susanna wanted versus the one her mother gave her. Another example is disco skater roller skating Belly when she was trying to save the house and she was trying to save the magic and honestly be the magic that Susanna was talking about, that Susanna made her feel chosen to be the one to save. I feel like she didn't look or feel like herself at all. And it was really only when she was intoxicated and had that conversation with Conrad that we got to the truth that was bubbling up under the surface. And it all came out. And I just feel that as a writer, I feel so much respect. If this is truly what she was intending to do, I don't know, but if Jenny Han went back and revised what we were seeing in the books to something different in the show, as she actually does many, many times with plenty of examples that I could give, I feel like she does that when she's trying to show depth of character and when she's trying to point out something that relates to the broader theme. I feel like she is really trying to teach us that Jeremiah fell in love with Belly based on outer appearances, that the Fisher family dynamics back to Susanna's mom have always been so influenced by this need to keep up appearances, to wear masks and to pretend like everything is fine, to always wear a smile. And that's why everyone is mad at Conrad, because in season 1 we find that he has always been that golden boy, but season 1 he finally refuses to do that for him because the truth he's holding inside he feels is not his secret to tell, but it is also not something that he can hide or cover up with a smile or pretending. But it's that full authenticity he fears will ruin everything for everyone else, especially his mom, and especially for his relationship with Belly. I feel that in season 2, anytime we saw Belly try to talk to Jeremiah vulnerably or share with him like what she's thinking or what she's feeling, every time she tries to open up to Taylor about like, hey, there was actually something that happened with Conrad, we immediately see her get shut down by these people. And so I think that we are being shown that at this point in the show, Belly, even internally, cannot consciously explore her feelings with vulnerability. We only hear it in like a glimmer, in like a whisper at Christmas, that the ghost of Christmas past has come back to haunt her and makes her feel like, oh my gosh, I think a part of me always will still love you. But then you see her immediately bury that down. So I think that it's important that we do not see or hear her consciously giving us any kind of narration that suggests she's changing herself. She's wearing shoes that make her feet hurt. She's shaving her legs twice so that Conrad will see it. And I've even seen people say that, well, she knew it would be recorded. She knew that he would see her, so she still wanted to appear a certain way. But I don't think that this was to be flirtatious. I don't think that this was to be something for Conrad. If anything, if there is anything to it, maybe it would be to prove how grown up she was. But I just feel like you can see so clearly that we had 5 conversations in the show versus the books that confirmed nobody believed Conrad was coming. Versus in the books, Jeremiah knew he had a flight plan. He was kind of just like being weird and I think being passive aggressive, suggesting that, oh, you never know with Conrad, maybe he'll show, maybe he won't. I feel like that's an example of Jeremiah saying something on the surface, but behind that dialogue, we know that the truth is that's not Conrad at all, and Jeremiah was just being rude. We also in the books see Laurel very clearly stating, oh, he'll be there. Like, he wouldn't miss this. He definitely would come. Versus in the show, we have Laurel explaining to Belly, I'm so sad he's not going to be there. And he's not going to come because he's working so hard. I feel like it is so important to pay attention to the books and what is written there, but I just personally feel that it's more important to pay attention to when a writer deliberately alters what she wrote before and turns it into something else and gives you 5 whole conversations that are so distinctly different from what we had in the books. I think she did that for a reason, and I think she did that to confirm and also suggest, this is just my personal opinion, I think she did that to confirm and suggest that Belly is changing all these things on her exterior because internally she's burying things deep, deep inside, and those things are festering in her subconsciously but not consciously. She's not making conscious decisions for Conrad, at least not at this point, not until she's physically in his presence. And I think that that also gives us the tension for when they are physically together, because that's something he also says. He says he cannot physically be in her presence without feeling this need to tell her that he loves her, because he does consciously acknowledge it where she does not, except at Christmas. So I feel like all these things we're seeing, it's supposed to give us this tension that when they're physically around each other, it's like all of their defenses fall. I think in episode 3, you're seeing Belly put on all these grown-up things because she's putting on these defenses. She's pretending like she's not hurt by the infidelity. She's pretending like they're fine. She's pretending like she's this perfect, happy bride that Susanna always wanted her to be, that Jeremiah wants her to be, because he's really always treated her like a trophy. And they've given us so many examples in the show where Jeremiah tells her to keep her appearance a certain way, where he says she's going to be a hot wife. We heard the song Hot to Go, and we heard him just say, oh, I'm so hot for you right now. Like, he wants her to be hot. He wants her to externally appear a certain way. And he wants to cover up what he has done and the problems in their relationship with a pretty little ring. I feel like that change is so important because that's not something Belly or any woman should do for the boy who truly loves her for who she is and not how she looks on the outside. And that's why in season 1, Conrad told us, I liked you better with your glasses, and also don't be my mom's little doll. I think that Jenny is giving us so much more depth. And as a woman, I think it's so important to change that, because she should not be putting herself through pain to outwardly appear a certain way for Conrad. It makes more sense that she'd be doing that for Jer and for Susanna. In this season and her living in a state of denial, there are these subconscious feelings for Conrad. That's like so core to like the whole thing of her losing herself. The only time she has seemed to consciously acknowledge that so far was at Christmas. I think that it actually just like speaks to the broader theme of the show that she has been so focused on and so zeroed into Jer. Look at what that has done to her. And like, you know, I just feel like a lot of people, like a lot of Jeremiah stans could say like from the books, like, oh, well, she was never fully committed to him. She never gave him a chance. Or people will say like, oh, she's hypocritical because she never really loved him. She was always thinking of Conrad, and then he goes off with Lacey when he believes they're on a break. I feel like the way they wrote Belly in the show really dispels this and like sets it all straight, that she was completely committed to him. She has been a plus girlfriend, and in many ways has been like this trophy for him, and she has excelled at every point in living up to that. I think it's also just like so important to show like what has been the difference between Belly and Jeremiah, because in season 1, when she did end up kissing Conrad and getting together with him, she wanted to immediately tell Jeremiah, where here in season 3, he kept these secrets from her. You know, in season 1, he lorded it over her. He wanted to punish her. He stonewalled her for a year. He gave her dirty looks. He said the meanest things to her. He like had so much rage against this girl who was grieving Susanna as much as he was, and who never meant to hurt anybody, and was trying to have an honest and vulnerable conversation with him. And yeah, instead he lords it over her hypocritically, and this show is trying to depict to you how completely different their characters are, how completely incompatible for each other they are. Because in season 1, he lied to her when he said, oh, I was waiting for you the entire time, I've been in love with you for so long, blah, blah, blah. She believes this because he says this, but we've been given visual proof. That's not how he felt at all. He spent the entire summer flirting with other people, and when he had many opportunities given to him to be good to Belly, to flirt with her, to connect with her, he rarely took those opportunities. Even when he took her out driving, he like completely dropped the ball. Like if he truly was waiting for her the way that Conrad was, it just doesn't make any sense. Especially the way he humiliated her on her birthday, and took a dig at Cameron the whole day because he was just jealous. She wasn't paying enough attention to him. He's like your typical nice guy behavior who thinks he is entitled to a relationship because he thinks he has the image of the nice guy, but really deep down he's devious. So they're trying to show you that like he was never looking for a committed relationship that summer with Belly, but then he was so angry with her when she didn't give it to him. But here in season 3, we're seeing something completely different. When the tables are turned, we're seeing that Belly is fully committed. She has been so committed to him. She's built her entire world around this boy, and he treats her like trash 2 seconds after their quote-unquote breakup, which I don't think was a real breakup at all. And I genuinely believe his character wanted to be single for a second so that he could blow off some steam and treat her like dirt and be with another girl. I do. I think he wanted to be young and resented that he probably knew he was going to be locked into Belly for the rest of his life, and he felt like he never had a chance to like, you know, be this young frat guy, and he kind of lost that, you know, playful playboy kind of guy, you know what I mean? In season 1, he was flirting with everybody and everyone wanted him, and he kind of indulged it everywhere, and I think he maybe felt resentment that he lost that and he wanted to feel that again. So I think he manufactured this breakup with her that was like such a joke, did not communicate with her, kept secrets from her, and then now he expects to be immediately forgiven. He expects it to be immediately forgotten and swept under the rug because they're getting married. So I think it's all character development. It's important for writing because it shows the contradiction between these two people. And also, what a manipulative hypocrite he has always been. I'm glad she's committed to him because it shows that so much more. We'll get plenty of Belly Conrad moments for sure. Okay, but just imagine an entire fandom based around defending Mr. Wickham. Like, Mr. Darcy's letter was just character assassination. Like, poor Mr. Wickham was just so misunderstood. He just loved Lizzie so much. He just ran off with her sister on accident. No. Imagine a fandom for Mr. Willoughby. I cannot even. Okay, my honest first reactions to this episode are that it made me cry many times because I am a mother too, and I know that I would say some of the exact same things that Laurel is trying to express to Belly. This is a story about motherhood, about womanhood, and about coming of age. And I know it's all fun and games, and it's beautiful, and it's romance, and it's wonderful, and it's deep, and it's lighthearted to like talk about the love triangle. And I know that everybody's been joking about Belly choosing herself at the end, but I actually just get like so choked up because of course I hope that Belly chooses herself. Of course, this little girl is enough. She doesn't need to be with a man for her story or her life to be interesting. This is a story about motherhood in so many ways than it even really is about this love triangle. And I'm just so tired of our world and our society grooming women to be wives and grooming women to be mothers when these young girls are just so magical, just as they are. This is a story about whose shoes are we trying to fill, and why are we trying to please someone else, and why are we not choosing ourselves and choosing our own story. And I think that it's so precious, and I think that it's so pure to see the relationship between a mother and daughter, because Belly is chasing the validation of a woman who is not her mom. And why isn't Laurel enough? And why isn't their dynamic what Belly is always dreaming it should be between a mother and a daughter? And why aren't they having those conversations? It is so hard to express how conflicting motherhood and marriage can be, because it is simultaneously the best thing and the ultimate joy, but so many women have lost so much of themselves and their spark and their time and their dreams because they are trying to be perfect in a role that society expects them to play. I just wish every woman out there watching this and seeing this story would seriously reflect on these major life decisions, because in so many ways it is about Belly fulfilling Susanna's dream, but you can see how unhappy Susanna's marriage and family was. She was the cookie cutter wife, the cookie cutter mom, but Adam was a terrible partner to her. What you think would look so perfect on the outside was so different within. Her marriage was in shambles, and that's not her fault, but it also took a toll on her motherhood as her boys had to suffer from Adam's behavior. And these boys held so much in, and their dynamic with each other had so much to do with their parents and their marriage and their baggage that they never unpacked. It had a lot to do with what Susanna said about her own family. Her own mother said, you always need to put on a happy face and look happy and good and perfect for everyone else. Otherwise, you'll make everyone else in the room feel miserable. That is why Conrad is the way he is. That is why Jeremiah is suffering. That is why Jeremiah cheats on Belly, and he uses her to replace his mom as this person in his life who gives him validation. And it makes me so angry. He reveals that he doesn't want her to go to Paris because he truly isn't thinking about Belly and her dreams. And it just breaks my heart that people are feeding into this. People are talking as if Belly choosing herself would be a boring storyline. This just kills me inside, because as a woman, as a mother, and as a very happy wife, I was married young myself, but I would always encourage a woman to please explore herself and please give things some time. It's so important that we have our lives and that we know who we are before we can show up for others. And even when we have those things, it's still important to explore ourselves. So I was a big emotional mess because Laurel as a mother, as a woman, means so much to me. And she isn't perfect. I do have problems with times it feels like she abandons Belly, but I also think that's the point of the show. As women, we are always trying to be so perfect in our roles, and I think we just have to understand that nothing is what it seems. Even someone who you think is the perfect mom and the perfect wife has struggles underneath, and the mom she thinks doesn't understand her actually knows her better than anyone. And I know as a mother, I would be so angry if another woman was replacing me in my daughter's mind. And if she was trying to be somebody else to fill that woman's dreams instead of just being herself. This story is so important for women to see. And the people feeding into this thought that Belly needs to be with one of those boys kills me every time I see a comment. Because I know sometimes it's lighthearted and sometimes it's just a joke. But in the real world, in actual real life, this isn't a joke. This is still such a serious thing. Men are angrier than ever and more insistent than ever of what a woman needs to be. And so many women are popping on the internet trying to look so perfect, either trying to be so pretty or trying to prove they fill their role as wife or mother or whatever it is they're trying to be so perfectly for somebody else. I root for every woman, whatever it is her dream may be, but I feel grief when I see a woman trying so hard to be this thing that society or the world at large or someone else in her life wants her to be, when it conflicts with who she really is and when it feels like a performance. I don't believe that everything I said about the Barbie movie and parallels in this show is necessarily intentional, but I point out those parallels and the things that I see because the overarching theme is what matters. I can't say for sure that this is an intentional parallel to the Barbie movie. I can't say for sure this little dollhouse was placed here intentionally as a metaphor to what we're seeing, but I can say I notice the similarities because of the feelings that they make me feel. This made me cry in the same way that the Barbie movie did, because it reminds me we are not dolls for somebody else's dreams for our lives. We have to be the captain of our fate and choose what's best for us, not based on this imaginary pedestal of what we think a woman should be. We have to cling to the magic of this, to the magic of girlhood. The world doesn't need you to be a Barbie doll. The world needs you to be yourself.